Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's AutoCAD Electrical Meetup. Excited to have you all here. We'll probably give it just a couple minutes and see how many other people join. But probably won't be waiting too long. We'll probably just jump right in. While we wait, as always, please feel free to add to the question pane any questions that you guys might have for today, anything that you want to go over, and we will get going.
And Tiffany, looks like we already have a question coming in from Alex. I'm not sure if you saw that, but could you go in depth into terminal strip editor, maybe best practices around that?
Okay, great. That is a good one to start with. We have quite a few things actually that kind of came out of our meetup in NAU that I still want to kind of unpack for starting off this year as well. So I think there's going to be some things and some key themes. I wasn't able to really do it for this month. It's still going to be just really open Q&A, but we can definitely dive into the terminal strip editor. We can look at some of those things. And as we look at what the only reason I'm pausing on that one is because I think that is one that we could definitely do a whole session around. So depending on what we get back in from other questions and things like that, that might be a key topic for, say, February or March as we go into unpacking some of those topics. Just so that everybody knows, that was one of the things we were exploring with kind of changing some of these meetups, how we look at some of the best practices and the things that we do, actually reporting out a bit more. There's also, I would love to actually look at having some of you guys present and do some share outs as well, really making this more interactive as a meetup. So I think those are some of the things that I'd like to talk about today as well, of other opportunities that we might have depending on as the questions come in. So I think that could be good. I do need to let everybody know today's is a little, I didn't want to cancel because I wanted to meet with you all. Today's is a little bit more challenging. As you can see, I'm in a phone booth. So I'm in a little bit of tight quarters here. I have a very tiny computer that I'm working on, which means I don't have as ease of use of my AutoCAD Electrical as I might when I'm at home, and I've got 3 giant monitors and a lot of things to do. So it's a little bit of challenges that I'm going to work through technically. I can still obviously answer questions. It just might be a slightly different experience today. Even the lighting in here is a little bit challenging. For even being able to see some of the things that I'm doing, but unfortunately just is what it is with room space that I had. I'm ducked out of an all-day meeting that I'm in as well. So just wanted to let you guys understand what you were looking at, because it's obviously a very different view than what we look at on a typical basis whenever I join you guys from my home office. So little different there, but that is one of the things I wanted to do. I actually wanted to get us all back into the mural today and see if we couldn't explore more of the options and the things that we were talking about on there. We never even really got to talk about the things that people posted on the mural during our live session at AU in November, and that was one of the things I wanted to look at today. So I think opportunities there, I think, as well, to just kind of really start laying these out, and then perhaps we can even start creating a list of key topics that are going to be shared during future webinars. I don't want to take over all of the Q&A time. I really like that this is open forum. We tend to fill it very quickly. But I do want to make sure that we do start featuring some other best practices and training opportunities and things like that that you guys have asked for, like this terminal strip one. So good on that. Is anything else coming in? Question?
No. Should we provide the link to the mural? I have it available if I want to send it out.
Yes, please do that. That would be wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. And on that note, I should probably do quick introductions just for anybody who's not ever joined us before, while he is putting that up in the, are you going to put it in the chat or probably not? Because I think that's disabled in the question pane.
Yeah,
Or
I
is it working
can.
in the chat?
I think the chat is available.
Okay, good.
So yeah, let
Perfect.
me send it out, and there, I just sent it there. So if you guys aren't seeing the link in the chat, I sent it to the entire audience, so you should see that. And you can just join, I think, anonymously at that point,
Yep.
just through your web browser. So yeah, I see everybody starting to jump in, so it looks like it's working.
Perfect. Good. Okay. Great deal. So really fast while we all get into it, once again, my name is Tiffany Bachmeyer. I lead these AutoCAD Electrical webinars. So we have 2 a month. We have we call Boosting Your Productivity. It's really a demonstration webinar of all the great features and capabilities that AutoCAD Electrical has. And then this one, which is on the third Thursday of every month, is a meetup. It's really an open forum, much like if we were all located in the same area and we all got together to have a user group. It's that idea. So you have the opportunity to be able to ask questions, dig in. No questions are off the table. From beginner, intermediate to advanced, all are available. Matt joins me on all of these webinars, my esteemed colleague, Vault expert, and just huge help in general in this manufacturing space. So again, if you guys have questions around Vault, the data management side of things with electrical, we can cover that as well. We've also talked EMX. That's obviously a very big hot topic. We do quite a bit around that. So the connection, if you always don't know what that is, the connection between our mechanical package inventor and AutoCAD Electrical. So lots of different opportunities, lots of discussions here, lots of things to unpack. So that is what I'm going to step into the mural myself as well and see if we can't. I'm actually going to sign in. So you guys can see me in it. Oh, fun. Hold on, we have, sorry, I'm sharing my screen, but we have a multiple step process. I have to pull a different phone up. So I know you're looking at me lean over right now. 1 second, everybody. And there's not a ton of us, quite frankly. I mean, we could unmute everybody and have a lot more discussion as well. And that's weird that I'm a part of that space. Whatever. I'll be anonymous. That's fine. So these are some of the things for any of you that weren't a part of the November session. These were some of the things that we started asking everybody that they wanted to be involved with. Now we had a lot of people live in the room, and so we were asking these same questions live in the room, and we really unpacked a lot of them. And I need to transfer those stickies that we took live in the room into this mural. But what I want to do is kind of talk about the ones that are on here, because we never really had a chance to do that. So I want to do that, and I want to make sure that as we explore how we want to kind of update these webinars and step into 2020 with a lot more excitement and things like that. I want to see how we're adjusting that, and I want to get feedback from you guys because this is really all about you. So it looked like some people were some things may have been being moved around. I want to lock some. Is it not going to let me? I am not the owner. Anton is the owner of this, so I don't think I'm able to lock these. Matt, are you able to lock them?
No, I also had to join anonymously, I think, because Anton is the owner of this mural. So
All right, and I don't think he's able to be in it, so that's okay. We'll deal with it. I'll clean it up later. But yeah, try really hard then, because we can't lock it. If you see what's happening to me, I can move around some of these. Try not to move the questions, everybody, but you all have capability of editing in here. Really fast mural lesson. If you click the side panel that we're looking at over here, I can click and just select a sticky, and I can drag them in wherever I want. Don't change the size of the sticky just so that we make it easy and everybody's not manually doing things like that. Instead, zoom. So you can scroll to zoom, much like you're seeing on my own screen. In fact, you don't even need to be really looking at the screen that I'm sharing, because it's so easy for you guys to just look at it on the mural of where we are. You can right click to follow me if you want to. If you want to see where I am, but it's not a very big mural, so it's pretty easy to do this. So if there's anything that's missing from here, if you weren't able to join in November, let's just take a minute So we'll take 60 seconds and just maybe 2, depending on how much movement we get, to see if there's anything else people want to add. So I don't know who, did somebody write this question into this? The questions are about hands-on seminars in the area for, so I'm not sure what happened here. Somebody must have just typed in directly. I'm going to remove this because I think it kind of muddies the waters, but I will we'll talk about this because it sounded like there were questions around any hands-on events. So I'm going to push that to the side and we'll look at that later. Hands-on events are not anything I'm aware of. A local reseller might be doing something, but not that I know of. That's why we do these globally live over the web so that everybody can join. So, oh, I thought I was the B. Somebody else must be the B. No, I am the B. Why do I see somebody else with that exact same title moving things? That's really odd. So again, if you guys want to add more, all you have to do, click over here, grab a sticky, drag it in, and then just start typing. That's how you would do that. I'm going to delete this one, obviously, but please feel free to do that. Start adding in on anything you'd like to see in these electrical webinars. And then what do you like most about them? And what would you like to see improved? And obviously there's some blank ones that were pre-populated in here, so you can just fill them out. All you have to do is double click on those to fill that out. Just because, like I said, we're really going to be looking at, as we head into February, maybe changing them slightly. If you don't want them changed, tell me that. We can just stick with, 60 minutes of Q&A. But what I'd really like to do is kind of understand better, how we could take this into a different level. I think it's been amazing. It's been great meeting with you guys, but I would like it to be a little bit more interactive than it currently is, me personally, but I want you guys to tell us because really this is all about you. So let's just it seems like there's quite a bit of activity, so I might give it a little bit more than a minute and just let everybody get in their thoughts on here. So let's start with 2 minutes. And if we need to add more, we'll do that. Because then I want to talk about all of them and kind of understand them a little bit more. Matt, did we unmute everybody or?
I have not.
Okay. That's fine. We don't need to yet, but I think we will need to when I want to talk about them a little bit more. So.
Yep. Just let me know.
Okay. Thank you. And then you all can choose whether or not you want to be muted still or not.
And then Tiffany, while they're doing that, just for the next minute or so, there's another question that popped in, but I'll let you read that just so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking while they're trying to type and write.
Sure. This is good. Thank you guys for putting your input in and starting to fill these things out. This is great. And just to note, you don't have to write full sentences or big novels or anything like that in here. I will ask for feedback and more clarity. So if you just want to hit the high level topic, that's fine too. Don't feel like you have to try to type everything. All right, there seems to still be a bit of activity, so I'm going to give it one more minute. So let's get what you can in there. You guys obviously all have the link. So if there are other things that come up, even if there's other things that come up while we're talking, feel free to add. But I'll give just a minute more of dedicated time to this, and then we'll start talking about the things that are listed. And if those of you that are on were a part of the live session, don't feel like you have to replicate what you did in the live session. I will get that info in here and we'll talk about that too. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. We took pictures of all the boards and there's some nice apps that make that pretty easy to put in. I just haven't added that back in. Whoa, anonymous elephant. That is one really big sticky. Okay, that's the minute. Let's wrap up what we are doing here. I don't really see anybody else typing too much. I think I see people moving around, but I'm sure you're kind of just reading and reviewing perhaps. Oh, looks like one more is being typed. So, okay. Yep, let's wrap it up. I see that there's a couple more being typed in there, so go ahead and get those wrapped. And then we will get going. Matt, if you want to unmute everybody and give them the chance to mute themselves, let's do that.
Yep, so just heads up, I'm going to unmute everybody, and then you can go ahead and mute yourself individually if you want, or if you have a comment, feel free to go ahead and speak up. So unmuting all participants now.
Perfect, thank you. Because that's one of the things I'm going to do as I go through these. If I call on yours, because obviously I can't tell whose is whose. If I ask for more clarity, I just want everybody to have the ability to talk without having to type into the chat, that's mine, and then be able to do that. So just please unmute yourself if I get to yours, and ask for a little bit more explanation so that you can just share out with us a little bit. And if you really don't like talking, then we can you can respond back via the chat, but I would love it if we could just be a little bit more interactive and chat together. Okay, so let's look at the first bucket. And I do think I'm getting feedback, so perhaps.
The only person that's unmuted right now is Mark.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself just in case there's any feedback on my end.
Okay.
But, yeah, Mark, if you have any comments, you can go ahead and speak up if you want. Looks like you just went back muted though.
Perfect. Yeah, by unmuting everybody, I just want to make sure you guys had the capability, not us forcing you to mute. So just to explain why we did it like that, but perfect. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so let's look at this. So need more ability to use AutoCAD Electrical for power systems designs. Okay. So I'm right out of the gate, I'm going to ask more questions. So explain to me what it is that you feel is lacking. So is that a comment more of the software needs more functionality to support power systems, or is it just that you're looking for more training or tips and tricks on power systems in general? I guess my question is what specifically are you hoping for? Whoever's that is. No one's gonna own it. Maybe that person's not on anymore because I know some of these are from before. Okay, so if that person's not on, we'll move on. And we'll just unpack that a little bit more later. It could start with integrating libraries for major device manufacturers such as GE, Eaton, Siemens, and so on. So this says it could, which I'm assuming means the AutoCAD Electrical webinars. That's interesting. I don't think our webinars would probably be integrating libraries, but I'm wondering if maybe the person meant AutoCAD Electrical in general could start with integrating libraries. I can tell you, depending on what you chose during your installation, we do have all of those manufacturers. So you know, there's a key to AutoCAD Electrical that often happens with people, where if you don't choose what you actually want installed, you only get a few manufacturers. So it's really, really important that you actually go in and choose that you want all manufacturers installed if you think you're going to use those, or choose your specific manufacturers. Because if you don't, you may feel that we don't have them when we do, you just didn't choose it, because they don't all install by default. They're free. It's not like there's an additional charge. You have to go somewhere else. It's just part of the install. But because the default install goes to your C drive, it is not the default to install all manufacturers, because that's obviously a much bigger load. Now most of our computers can handle it and it's fine, but that's just so you guys know, that's the setup for it, and that's why. Okay, so let's just take a look at what the rest of this would be. So that I don't really know if that's a topic, but it's a good thing to talk about. So I might just parking lot some of these. So this one I'm going to move over here along with this question, because I think that those are good comments, but I think they're not necessarily topics for webinars. I would really love to have a hands-on seminar in the greater Cincinnati area. Okay. So I think that was the same person that was looking for this over here. That is great. Again, not a topic for a webinar, but perhaps I can look into some of the different, if that person is on, I'll tell you, I'll look into some of our different resellers that might be in the Cincinnati area that might be able to provide something like that. So I'll take that action item to see what we can do. I would like to see more demos. Okay, so that's an interesting one. If that person is on, I'd love to know what you mean by that specifically. Like, is there topics that you're looking for? What demos? Because there is that whole separate webinar series that is the full demonstration of the majority of, obviously in an hour I can't do everything, but the majority of the tools and capabilities of AutoCAD Electrical. So is it deeper dives? Is it, you know, what specifically are the demonstrations that you're looking for? Because I would say that comment could be what this whole topic list is in general. So I just would be curious what specifically that person is looking for. Is that person on by any chance? Okay, guessing not. So this one, I think we need to, that might be an overarching theme in general. How does AutoCAD Electrical interact with BIM drawings? Now that's a very interesting one. If that person is on, I would love to ask specifically again what you're looking for, but I will tell you this, there's not really a BIM connection between AutoCAD Electrical, other than the fact that it is a DWG file, so you could work it into your thought processes around some of your drawings and plans that you might have in the overarching theme that you, I mean, obviously it's a DWG, it can be used in certain aspects and brought into in certain aspects. You could say that the connection between electrical and Inventor, that you can bring an electrical design into Inventor, that can be replicated. There's an automatic connection between the two, and then Inventor obviously can be part of the BIM process, where it can go out to Revit files, and there's the BIM Inventor exchange that can happen there. So there are some of those connections. But if the root of that question is actually around using AutoCAD Electrical for architectural electrical design, those are different things. So that's a very important thing. I get asked that a lot, especially in my AU classes when I'm live in front of everybody. I'll get a lot of electrical engineers in the architectural space that want to know about doing like ceiling reflection plans, you know, obviously with that being fixture design and layouts for electrical plans for the architectural world. And that's not the use case of AutoCAD Electrical, unfortunately. That's really what AutoCAD MEP is all about, and what the Revit MEP capabilities have. The E obviously of MEP is electrical, so that's what it's really designed for. AutoCAD Electrical is specifically around machine controls design. So that's what it is. We can bend it for other things. Obviously, utility industry uses it, things like that. But when it comes to the architectural space, there are other design packages that are really made for that specifically. So I would encourage you to look in those tools, not AutoCAD Electrical. Okay, so good to unpack that one. And I'm going to parking lot that because I think we've covered that topic. Vault electrical file folder structure. So that's interesting, Matt. Sounds like maybe some wanting tips and tricks on just Vault setup, how to do file and folder structures, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Obviously, Vault is very folder driven.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other data management packages that you just kind of toss the file in and doesn't really matter where it lives. So there are definitely some best practices around how to set up the folder structure. What is the working folder? How do you map it? Things like that. And then how does it tie directly into electrical? So I'll kind of rely on Tiffany a little bit on some specific files and maybe where they need to live in certain folders. And then I can use my expertise with the Vault side and we can tie those two together. So I like that one quite a
Yeah,
bit. I
I
think
think
that would be pretty popular with a lot of the users.
I agree. I think that becomes maybe one of our, you know, we feature that as one of the key topics in one of the future webinars, and we just spend our time with the Vault electrical connection. So I think that's great. That's a good one.
Yep.
Migration from MicroStation to AutoCAD Electrical. So that's an interesting one for sure. There is not necessarily an automatic thing there. I can tell you that we do have some automation to conversion. So there's actually and I use it very infrequently, so bear with me while I search for it a little bit. And they might have even removed it in 2020. I haven't even looked for it in 2020 because it doesn't get asked for very often. Yeah, I don't see it anymore. I'll have to look into this a little bit. So there used to be a Promisee to AutoCAD Electrical conversion tool that was written many moons ago when those conversions were kind of happening, because Promisee was built on top of AutoCAD Electrical as well, or I mean on top of AutoCAD as well. And there was a lot of people migrating over, and so there was the request for that specifically. So there was a conversion tool for that. There's not an automatic conversion tool for migration of MicroStation to AutoCAD Electrical. We could definitely talk tips and tricks though, around just moving to AutoCAD Electrical from anything. You know, what does that look like? What is migration in general? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to note right here. Because I think that tips and tricks of migration in general could help with everybody. I'll tell you one thing, and I tout this if you were to ever take classes from me over the 15 plus years I've been doing this. I will tell you that you are far better off creating your first design package. And this is just going to be, we will do a migration tip. Let me just promise you that. But I will tell you that out of the gate, I will always say, build your first template project. So that's a full project, a standard project that you might have for what you do. Obviously, there are variations. There are things that we do. Maybe you have 5 standard projects and they always kind of get a little bit of a twist depending on customer requirements. And I mean, customer could be you have your own customers, or maybe your customers are internal customers. Sorry, let me close my email so that doesn't keep popping up. So the key that I think to that, and why I say that you should build a template project straight out of AutoCAD Electrical, not try to do a bunch of conversion and migration, is that you're going to have a much cleaner drawing set, if you build it from scratch and you fully understand everything that you should be doing in AutoCAD Electrical, it's going to make for a better setup, a better project. And then my advice every time I do that, and I talk to customers about it, is that when you have that template project, that project then becomes the foundation for all other projects. So when you copy it, and then you make your customer requirements to it, you make the edits and the changes that you need, you know you have a clean project. You're not bringing forward years and years and years of edited projects in whatever package you had, whether it be vanilla AutoCAD, whether it's MicroStation, whether it's Promise, whatever it may be. You're not bringing forward potentially bad data, because that happens a lot, right? Muddied data happens. And instead, you have a very clean project that you're using from scratch. You start clean, and you don't try to force your old project into AutoCAD Electrical. You instead use clean versions of everything and have a better, cleaner setup. It's a way to kind of have a fresh look and a fresh start at your design packages. It doesn't mean you're changing the design. It just means maybe you're changing the old, outdated or antiquated data that might be in there, right? Perhaps you still have the hexagons that run all along the left-hand side of your screen to hold all of your ladder numbers. Well, we have that ability, and you can do that in electrical in an automated form. So you're going to want to update those and not have those just be geometry from vanilla AutoCAD that gets ported over, right? And then I would question, do you really need the hexagon? Because you can have this be live, all the ladders update live. You don't need to do that. Or even I see a lot of people with the old grid lines of the X and Y axis grids. Now we have that in electrical as well, and it's intelligent. So if you put something, if you actually place those grids in your templates and you want those to be your mapping symbol names, then your symbols will take on those names. So if you put something in column B and it's row 2, it will become B2, a bit like we're all playing Battleship, right? But most of the time when I see customers have that on their template and I say, okay, I see that you're using the grid lines, let's get those put in. They're like, oh, we don't tag anything by that. That's just been on our template for years. Then you don't need it anymore, right? It's not really valid. It's not really being used because that's not mapping anything. You're using a different tagging format. And because all of that is automated in electrical, it's really not necessary to port forward that stuff. So again, just not to stand on my soapbox a little too much here, but you are going to get so much more out of actually creating your first project from scratch in electrical. It is not hard because everything is automated. It is going to be very quick and easy. You're going to know a lot more about electrical, and you're going to have a really clean drawing set. So that would be my challenge to you as opposed to migration, is look at what starting from scratch in electrical is. And then any conversion migration tools that I might give you tips and tricks on would really be for as-built. You've already got a project in another package or something else, and you just want to bring that forward to be able to use some of the new tools that you have within electrical. And you do that so that you have that capability, but not something you want to use and reuse and make copies and copies of. Just to one final note on that, my ideas of copies as things get bad. Think of the movie Multiplicity. If you've seen it back in the, I don't even remember, 90s, I think that movie came out. As the copies kept making copies of themselves, the copies started getting a little funky, right? It's a Michael Keaton movie. If you've never seen it, there's your homework. Go do that tonight. Go watch that movie. It's a great movie. But the point is, you don't want to continue copying and using and reusing unclean data. So that's my advice. Make a clean project set, really get to know electrical. It's not hard to do because of the automation that we already have that's built into it. And don't port forward a bunch of antiquated information that could be living in the backgrounds of your drawings. So that's my advice. Okay, back to the mural.
So Bill mentions, thank you for the tips, and that he's using the import of DGN command in ACAD.
Oh, he is using the import DGN. Okay, so that's one of the migration tips and tricks I would have talked about. Again, everything on that conversion tab, in all of my electrical classes, I would say don't touch this tab. And there's a little bit of mixed feelings on that. If you ask other experts, some will be like, oh, you can do it. But again, most of us would say not for copying over drawings over and over again to reuse. Build that as a clean drawing set in electrical. You would use that really only for a quick cleanup of something that's as built that you need to maybe add a couple things to. So really great questions. Thank you for that. And we can definitely talk about, tips and tricks on some of those. Explain one complete project. That's interesting. Is that maybe hoping to have other people explaining a project and how they did it, as opposed to necessarily me, whoever wrote that, if you're on?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted a demo project to be explained. I take up a small project and then I explain it from scratch, that it would be helpful.
I like it. I think that's great. I think that's a good idea. Great, great, great. Thank you. That's a good one. Obviously, terminal block editor, we've talked about that. I think that's definitely a topic that we need to unpack in one of these webinars. Typical progression of design, adding terminals to schematics and landing them on terminal blocks. Okay, I think these go hand in hand. So if I were to cluster these together, I'm probably going to move these around because these definitely go together. This could all be the same webinar. Putting 2 wires under 1 screw terminal. Yep. Okay. So this is fundamental. Setting up the terminal properties. We have actually something called terminal properties in our catalog. And in the it's much like the pin list where you can assign standard pins to catalog values. This would be setting those standard terminal properties to them, where you're saying per terminal how many wires are allowed, what that looks like, and all of that information. So we can definitely talk about that. So this goes to what I was just talking about with migration. So I'm going to move these up together. This is ways to adapt ACAD-E functionality to legacy documentation vanilla AutoCAD files. So that all kind of goes to migration and how to kind of do some of that pulling legacy as-built drawings forward to be able to make adjustments, things like that.
And it's a fun time.
What'd you say?
And it's a fun time, Tiffany. By the way, I'm running AutoCAD 2019 electrical, and I do see your conversion tool for Promise E on the ribbon.
Oh, you do? Okay, so maybe in 2020
yes, I do.
Popped it out. All right, I'll have to take a look.
I'm not on 20 yet, so anyway, I will mute myself now so I don't interrupt you anymore. Have a good
No, you're good. Thank you, Mark. It's always good to hear from you. No, that's perfect, and that's good to know. Yeah, I hadn't even looked for that to compare it from 19 to 20 because, like I said, I use it so infrequently. But it's a good thing to talk about when we talk about those conversions. So thank you for that. I like this one. This to me sounds like there's a little bit of an ask here of maybe an email form or a post up on the website of where we where we post these webinars of a weekly tip as opposed to the monthly meetings on best practices or pitfalls to avoid. I will definitely look into that. I can tell you that one of my counterparts, many of you may know him if you've joined any of my classes at AU, Rob Stein is another resident AutoCAD electrical expert here at Autodesk. And he actually has a blog that he works on. I don't know how actively. He's obviously a busy man, but I know that he intended to have weekly updates on there, and there's been times I've tried to get him actually as a guest speaker on here, especially on the times I can't join. So he may very well join us from time to time as we go. But I will talk to him and see if we can't maybe approach that tip area as part of his blogs, and I will guest blog for him as well. So Matt, I don't know if you have access to that, if you can find it quickly to give the link of what it currently looks like right now. If not, I'll take it as an action item to make sure we send that out to everybody so that you have access to his blog area right now. But that's something we definitely have talked about at AU classes, because we kind of ask out in those classes what kind of topics people are looking for the next year, what kind of things do we want to do, and then also talk about the blog that he has and the things that he puts up for tips and tricks and stuff like that. So good topics there. All right. So this one I might actually move out because it's not a webinar topic, but it's instead, why am I not zooming anywhere? There we go. This is an action item that I will take in. So this is good. The ACAD-E and Inventor and Vault integration. So we've done that before. The full EMX workflow, as we call it. I'm going to move these down so I can fit that in there because I think this goes along with our AutoCAD Electrical and Vault. I think these could be two separate ones. I think we could talk about the full integration of all three, as well as have a separate webinar on just Vault and Electrical, but those do kind of go together. So that's great. Thank you for that. Brief sessions with subject experts, 1 per week. So I think this person is asking for, if this person's on, I would love to know, are you looking for webinars more frequently then? You're looking for a once a week webinar? That's maybe shorter?
What I'm saying is basically when you have them on your scheduled week, talk to, say, your preferred expert and say, can you give me a 3-minute
Got it.
best tips on how you would do?
Okay.
And just maybe at the very end of or beginning of the webinar, have that post, and then maybe put a link to that video into the chat so that we could pick that up and save that for later, and maybe have them saved on our computers as a go-to just in case we miss it.
That's great. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. That would be great. Would electrical be a good program to use for security systems and cameras? Great question. Again, this is not really a webinar topic. This is more of just good questions for right now. So I will tell you that falls into the BIM idea of things. That's really much more about layouts and designs for security systems and cameras, much like fixture design and switch plate design and outlet designs are in the reflected ceiling plans that we do in architectural electrical layouts. I've played in both spaces. My degree is in architecture, focused in architectural lighting design. So I have experience in both. That is not a use case of electrical. You could use it, but you're probably more likely using it as vanilla AutoCAD to just draw. And there are definitely tools within AutoCAD MEP and even just core AutoCAD architecture that's going to help you do that a lot better. So my advice is not to do that out of electrical. So really great question, but not probably the focus area I would have for electrical. Looks like this one got added to a weekly tip on best practices or pitfalls to avoid. Oh no, this is the one I said was going to be yep, I'm sorry. This is the one I moved. So that is going to be I'm just going to make a note on here that this will be.
Yeah, and Tiffany, while you're doing that, I just posted to the chat Rob Stein's ACAD blog. So perfect. It's cadguru.com.
You know what? I'm going to copy that and put it right here since you guys all have access to the mural, just in case this helps anybody in the future. Oh, it didn't let me do it. All right, I'll do it later, but I'll put it up there on there. Okay. So I think I got everything under the what would we like to see. So that's great. Now let's take a look really quickly here. Did somebody create a face? Whoever did this, you crack me up. All right, so let's take a look at what do we like about it, the questions and answers. Okay, so that's good. So it definitely sounds like we don't want to move away from Q&A. We're just going to have to carve out a separate tip time. Because I used to always, if any of you have been out with me from the beginning of these, which started over 2 years ago, I would start with having a pre-baked list of tips and tricks that I would just show if I got no questions from everyone. And as questions started coming in, then we would switch over to the Q&A. And then over the last year, our attendance grew so much, it was wonderful that we just filled the whole time with questions. So there was really not a lot of those tips and tricks because we were being so fulfilled with topics with just Q&A, which was great because obviously I want to be here to give you that ability to just ask questions and have that open time. So I don't want to lose sight of that with these. It's good to know that's also important to all of you guys. So we will definitely do that, and we'll just try to make sure that we carve out the right amount of time between both of them so that we give the right amount of time to both. The diversity of topics covered, that makes me very happy that you like that. That's good that we're able to cover many different topics and be able to do that. Thank you to whoever wrote this. I appreciate that. I'll extend that to Matt too. I'm sure having, you know, two different experts on is probably, I hope you guys find that helpful. The flexibility of them, that's good. I'm glad you guys like that. That's definitely good. AutoCAD workflow for creating panel layout. So it looks like this is actually more of up here, something that you're looking for out of a topic. So I'll move that up. So this is fine. This is core functionality of AutoCAD Electrical, the ability to move from schematic to panel, or even start with your panel design and move that back to schematics. You can go either way. I actually want to know from this person, if this person is online from today, did you mean panel layouts in electrical specifically, or perhaps even the flow from ACAD to Inventor to do those panel layouts?
No, it's specifically for ACAD. We kind of talked about it at AU in terms of, it's actually more showing them once they're created.
Okay.
You said to go multiple tabs, and I'm just kind of looking to see if that's from the community.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
What the community actually does, because when you kind of look at it from a multiple tab function, there's not a lot of ACAD support for multiple tabs in terms
There's
of.
not. No, I mean, definitely support for the first layout tab and the schematic, obviously the model tab when we do all of our work. But yeah, I think that's actually a topic that we could unpack quite a bit into. I want to actually note this: multiple tabs, do's and don'ts. So I am a big proponent of model space and paper space, as everybody on here who's been on multiple times knows. You and I, though, actually, Brandon, I think we talked quite a bit about this around perhaps the use case of what you were trying to do might not work with multiple tabs because they were kind of different things.
Yes, for one customer, we can't do, they want one tab per drawing, but for our standard, we have the ability to do whatever. Okay.
All right, good deal. Yeah, let's talk about that, because I think there's a lot that we can do with that. I have many successful customers who actually do the multiple tab thing. But I think we have to talk about when you would do it and when you wouldn't, and the whys of both. So that is a great topic.
And Tiffany, while Brandon's unmuted, he actually had a question about implementing Vault with AutoCAD Electrical, and that it would probably be a non-standard deployment. He's looking for next steps, maybe who to talk to from this point. So
okay,
we had our vendor, we had our vendor come in and yesterday and kind of demo it, but he wasn't very AutoCAD Electrical savvy. So I was hoping to be able to have someone that was AutoCAD Electrical savvy. Maybe we run through what we want to do and see if what can and can't be done.
Sure. Yeah, let's take, that definitely sounds like an offline topic between just us, because you've got a kind of a custom setup. So we'll Matt and I will take that offline. We'll figure out who your team is that works with your company, and then I'll liaise with them just to figure out how we can set up that meeting. Good plan. Connection to Navisworks. This is interesting. Again, I don't think this is what you like about it. I have a feeling this one was meant to be up here. My question would be, what do we want to do in Navisworks? Because Navisworks is amazing, and it's a great way to compile a lot of data into one area from a lot of systems that you can, and it can even be CAD agnostic. But it's typically, I'd see it more from what you're trying to do with the electrical connected to Inventor and then Inventor into Navisworks than electrical directly. It's not really a 2D setup for that. So I guess I'm curious to know if that person's on, what their goals are with Navisworks. And if they're not on, we'll address it maybe another time. All right. And then sharing ACAD files and folders that the environment file or the network deployment still looks at local. Okay, so I would like to call this, and this is, again, looks like it's something that should be up here. That is really best practices for implementation. So if you've sat in any implementation class that I've done in for Autodesk University, the top thing that I will talk about is not editing your ENV file. It is obviously what it's there so that you can, but you are far better off utilizing the tools that we have right from installation to automate the network setup of all of those files. Now, this kind of goes actually hand in hand with Vault. So I'm actually going to move it over here for my own reference to look at, because Vault can do this for you as well. And I think we can unpack all of those different things that we might want to achieve via either what does it mean to just do a local setup? What does it mean to do a network drive setup? And what does it mean to do to have it be local but managed by something on the network? So that's where Vault would come in, or a third-party replicator out to your network drive. So really important discussion there. If you're dying to know that before our next meetup, or when we put that into a topic on the meetups, I strongly encourage you guys to go out to the AU online sessions, and you can review the implementation classes that Rob Stein and I have done over the years. We've actually done them, I think, every year for the last 5 years. So go out, look at those, review them. We talk, they're all very similar, but have slightly different content to them depending on what our key topics were that year. But all of them, that is a key reoccurring theme that we talk about in absolutely all of them. So you could look at this year's the most recently, and then take a look at other ones if you want to from backlogs. But there's lots of information out there on AU Online for AutoCAD Electrical from the classes. I taught 5 classes this last year. So absolutely look there if you guys want to dig into some of this before our next meetups. So
yeah, Tiffany, we actually had another question kind of come in, probably similar to this, ties in from Soraya Khan. I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, but when a project is a local drive, everything's good, but when they're running it off a network, they're running into performance issues. So just looking for solutions or comments around that. And the first comment is Vault. Right? If we can implement Vault here, you get the best of both worlds. You get the network sharing aspect, but then also you get the performance aspect of working from a local drive. So.
Yeah, so to me, that's a network latency issue for you. We hear about it often, just the way corporate networks are set up sometimes, that's just what it is. And so trying to work, having AutoCAD Electrical have to go out to your corporate network and come back to give you back information just causes latency issues, and that's why you're seeing performance problems. Matt's absolutely right. Vault would solve that. A short-term solve, if you don't have the ability to just implement Vault, I don't know how big you are or what IT requirements you would have around that. I think that's what ultimately your goal would be. But if you need a short-term solution, I would highly recommend utilizing some sort of third-party replicator like a RoboCopy, where you have that auto sync back to everybody's local machine so that they're getting the local setup and the ease of use, but they're having the benefit of it all being shared back out to the network drive so that you guys aren't all working on disparate files. So that would be my short-term solve until you can get Vault in place, because Vault will be hands down the best way to handle that. So okay, good questions. I also think we had a PLC question in there. And because we've covered all these topics, thank you, by the way, for helping me through this. I think this will be really good for us planning out this year and topics that we want to do and how we want to approach future webinars. So I appreciate the time and the ability to do that. To the PLC questions, I think I saw some questions on not having everything needed within the PLC database. And I just want to, of course, this is off my screen. Let's see if I can't. This is so tough. I'm on a Surface, in case you guys are wondering what I'm on. So I'm on a very tiny computer to do this. And normally I'm at home on a desktop. So if I'm looking at the database editor, Matt, can you read me the code that they're looking for? It was, I think, a 1756.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
Yep,
So, what I got, the problem is that it seems like with 2020, if I put in an assembly code into, say, a 1756 IF16, it will do so I want the terminal block. So 1756, whatever, CH or CHB or whatever it's called. And then I want to also do an extended terminal cover. So I do the semicolon. It actually won't support the semicolon, whatever the next part number I want anymore, even though it's in the actual ace_PLC database as that. I don't know if it's something that happened in 2020, but it was working in at least 2018.
So you're saying this additional
No, I'm saying in the assembly code, you can type in essentially part numbers there. So when you
Of course,
you
yeah.
generate that, it'll actually put that in the assembly code. I can do one part number, but I can't pull up 2 assembly codes in it anymore.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out, let me see if I can find where my PLCs are in this project. But you're creating a new module, or are you trying to edit an existing module?
So I added to an IF16, I wanted to add the terminal base.
Okay.
And an extended cover for that. So part number, semicolon, another part number. It will do the first part number, but then when I try to put in the semicolon other part number and hit enter, it deletes out everything up to the semicolon. It only has that one part number. If I go into the actual physical PLC database and look it up, it has both part numbers in there, but it will not pull both into this.
I might need to see it. I might need you to share your screen. And I know we're running out of time. We might have to do that separately, because we typically, I'm wondering if it's yeah, we might have to look at that. And if it is a bug, I'll have to talk to the product team. I don't know, because it'll let me fill out an assembly code here. So I don't know how, but in creating it, if that's the problem, if you're saying within the actual PLC database, you're not able to do it.
Yeah, so right now, like our default.cat has that assembly code in there. So when I try and create it, there's basically a part mismatch, and it won't pull essentially the default.cat information until I essentially fix that when the PLC side of it's generated.
Yeah, that's the interesting use case, because typically we wouldn't, that's where I'm not, you don't typically we typically don't run our PLCs through the default CAT. We run them through this, and then any assembly codes you need, you'd actually code into the attribute value on the main module here. And so you'd type that in here.
Yep, that's what I did.
Hmm.
So in our database, in our ace.plc, that is in there, but it will not populate on the screen. And when you actually put the PLC part in there, that assembly code, that full assembly code is not in there. It's only the first part of that, the first part number of that.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, and you said it was working in 19?
18. I jumped from 18 to 20.
Okay. Yeah, we might have to log that and just see what it is. I might need to look at it though first, but yeah, maybe there was a code change that just did something that scrambled that. I don't know of that. I've not tested it. I'll try it out myself on mine and just make sure it's not something that's a single use case to yours, but it's something we probably should log with the product team. So it's a good question. All right, on that note, thank you guys. We are out of time. This was really productive. I really appreciate the time. Looking forward to February and on, and being able to do a lot of these webinars with you guys and focus on some of these topics that all of these topics that you've given us. Every one of them I think is fantastic, and excited to have you guys here in the new year. We're kicking off 2020. So thank you again. Looking forward to future webinars, and thank you, Matt, for all of your help as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thanks, guys.